yeah, on the stage now, there we switch over to Stefan Gruber, who will present us something with the translations.com integration. And you see him, you see also Verena, and you don't see me anymore, but that doesn't matter anymore. So I'm leaving
Christian,
anyway.
we know that you are beautiful. Thanks for the transition. So warm welcome from my side to all the developers and guests and enterprises, and especially the partners which are here in this session. And of course, a warm welcome to my guys from Pimcore, which are right now sitting at the bar and having their beer, while I have to stay sober because I have to do this deep dive. My name is Stefan Gruber. I'm the CSO of Pimcore, and I'm going to show you a little bit, of our enterprise translation. And we do that in cooperation with Translations.com, and we're very proud to announce this partnership. Verena is already waiting. I'm going to introduce in a few seconds. Just let me explain a few words in the of our deep dive before we go into the demo and into more information. Translation management, as we heard it in the keynote, is a key indicator and is very important for every enterprise's internationalization strategy. And when we remember the past with Pimcore, it was a manual process. Either way, you had to manually integrate a translation management system by developing, or you had the XLIF export and import feature where you had to export the data manually, translate it, and re-import it again. So it was very time consuming, it was error prone. And so we decided to bring the whole translation process to a new level. And we decided to partner up with Translations.com and create a seamless integration, a seamless real-time integration of the world's most powerful translation management system, which is called GlobalLink and which was implemented by Translations.com. So all the processes for your translation can be done for 100% automatically. This is a great feature, and we're really excited to have this feature now integrated into Pimcore. Supported data, where we can do the automation is of course the data objects. This comes out of the box, and we can extend it for documents and assets, but this is a little bit of implementation work, but that's no big problem. So we have the whole Pimcore platform can be automated with translation processes. And why exactly Translations.com? And I guess we got there a few good reasons. Translations.com is the market leader in the translation business. They got over 27 years of experience. They have more than 100 offices worldwide. So this is a worldwide enterprise with over 6,000 employees. It's quite huge, I guess. They have the full range of high quality language services. They have unmatched global scale and resources. And of course, we from Pimcore did a few projects together, and we had excellent experiences with Translations.com. And now I'm going to give over to Verena, the most charming Austrian living in Switzerland.
Say something. What an introduction, Stefan.
Say something can I say one word? The guys from Pimcore, can you drop me a beer or stuff like that? I'm very thirsty. Thanks a lot. So Verena, this is your stage right now.
So the main reason why we have actually partnered with Pimcore is because we get so many nice compliments when we host mutual sessions. So as you can see, I'm very happy to be here. Hello to everybody watching right now. I'm super excited to present the partnership and obviously the solution. My name is Verena Bucher. AKA the most charming Austrian working in Switzerland. I am based out of TransPerfect's Zurich office. However, I do work with our clients based in the entire DACH region. My title is Director of Strategy and Business Solutions, and what that means, broken down to the essentials, is basically I support our customers when it comes to global content management, meaning which content needs to be sent out where, to whom, who needs to read it, and which channel. And how do we make sure that that content is as effective as possible and reaches the recipients as best as possible. Again, you have already summarized everything for me, Stefan, so I'm just going to skip that. You said we are quite big. Actually, we are the biggest worldwide. We're super proud of that. Again, we have offices worldwide in over 100 locations. That means that we maintain global support, but also are there for all our customers locally in Europe, Asia, and obviously the Americas as well. We support over 170 languages. So that means, and this is what I kind of teased before a little bit. So the three things that we do is the language services. So we started out as a regular translation service provider, standard, but obviously throughout the course of almost the last 30 years, that has changed a little bit. So the variety of services that we offer is really anything that touches languages. So that's one part of what we do. The second part is really the process and the technology called GlobalLink, which is why we are here today. So that's a software that basically integrates with any content repository system, obviously the best one here today, Pimcore, and really ensures that content can be sent into a translation workflow and received back as seamlessly as possible and as automated as possible. And the third pillar is really tracking the success and monitoring all the contents that we broadcast throughout all these channels. Okay, so again, it's the language service part, it's the technology and the process part, and then thirdly, it's making sure that what we're doing is actually making sense. So the first things first, so what is it that we do? I have, announced very broadly, okay, solutions for global businesses. So what does that actually mean? I said translation and language services. So standard document translation, anything that you have, but obviously something that you would have stored on your systems. We do not only provide content creation or regular translation, but we also have a self-developed AI, so a machine translation engine that could support the content localization. We also support with language training and staffing. We have call center support, really anything in that regard. On the right-hand side, and this is more the strategy part of it, we really can support our customers as well when it comes to which content needs to be prepared for which market and which target audience. So that's something that we can support you with as well. The right-hand side, one of my favorite assets is obviously media. Anything that has to do with social media, but also video content is something that we can support you with. Dubbing, voiceover, scheduling your campaigns, adapting your campaigns, making sure that your keywords are prepared for the respective markets, launching your Google ad campaigns, so on and so forth. Artificial intelligence, that is a very new and very exciting part of our business. So anything that has to do with voice recognition, so Siri, Alexa, so on and so forth, that is something that we do as well. And on the left-hand side, and that's my personal focus, and I think the favorite thing to do, and that's why we're all here today together with Pimcore, really is anything that has to do with digital content. So anything that will go on a website, apps, and anything that comes along with that, e-commerce, CRM, so on and so forth. But you're the experts, so you already know what I'm talking about. So again, and that's really, really important for me to stress, anything that has to do with a full strategy of a 360 content approach, any touch base with your customer is something that we could support you with. And with a strong partner such as Pimcore, we are aware of how complicated it may seem at the very beginning, but if you really take a very close look, you can structure that content and manage that content very, very easily. I don't like quoting my dad. He would be super proud if he knew this, but fail to plan is plan to fail. So that's his standard, I think his standard sentence. So, but if you look at this 360, there's many directions to look into. But if you really talk about a 360 approach to content strategy and handling, I think you need to really be aware of all the aspects that really touches content. On the next slide, we will see that there is more to translation, as I have said before. So it's not only about translating content, it's also about creating content. Most likely, if you work with a system such as Pimcore, you don't only have digital assets. You have the content stored on a system that goes to whatever channel, to whatever asset. So you really want to make sure that by centralizing the content management and by streamlining it, that whatever channel you choose to push that content to is really well maintained, and well controlled. Same goes for media, same goes for international SEO, SEM, social media, or your customer support. So again, a holistic approach to your content strategy is key to your global success. And we believe that the technology that we offer, along with the services, with a strong partner such as Pimcore, can be the ideal instrument that you will need for your global successful brand presence. And now, before we actually hand back over to Stefan, who will show you what it means for a content manager working in Pimcore, selecting content items and sending them into a translation workflow, and how to get that back automatically. You won't need much time, Stefan, I'm sure, because it's so easy and so quick and so automated. He can even have a beer while doing it, so I'm not worried about that at all. So on the actually translation process, I think we got the slides mixed up a little bit.
So should I?
The translation process. Yes, exactly. So what happens when Stefan and his beer are clicking on the send button?
I don't have a beer at all right now. That's my problem.
Oh, I'm so sorry about. Well, I'll drink a water to that. Because I want to stay sober. Now, if you look at this, really, once you do send something to us, and I think it's important to stress, it may seem like a lot of things that we're going through, but all these process steps or these workflow steps can be configured per content item and as per your needs. Okay, so the project analysis and the pre-flight, really, we together define with you what type of content is it. Where do you want to send it to? Would you like to have a creative approach? Do you think machine translation can help here? Do you want to have a standard translation approach? Is it maybe legal content? Is it marketing content? Do you need to have it optimized from an SEO perspective? So all of these things are things that we are considering. And also, we want you to not only get your content back in time, we also want to make sure that it is consistent and it gets back to you as quickly as possible. So we have tools that would help us do that, called translation memory. We also have terminology and glossary supporting that process, just ensuring that all the information about your content is always available to everybody involved in the process. At the second part, the production part, the translation part of it, as you can see, there is also a small content approval step. We want to make sure that before we deliver something back, we actually get your okay on that. We also can help you with the layout, meaning whatever you send to us, may it be an InDesign file, or may it be maybe an export from an app, or may it actually be a product item that you sent to us from Pimcore. In our delivery, we make sure that we maintain the source file format at all times, that we also save you the time and effort of maybe having to manually copy paste it back into an InDesign file. We can do that for you. And at the third part, in the post-production part, as I already said, we want to make sure that the content performs the way it's supposed to. Okay, so again, that's what we do. And now, the $1 million question is not $1 million question because it's not that expensive, thank God. So just because it's Christmas soon, this year really went by super quick. We have an early bird special offer prepared for you today, the audience, and everybody listening in. Please reach out to me at any time. Please do step by at the booth. I do believe that my contact details are available to everybody. We have some special ideas for you. If you do decide that you are interested in that solution and that you would like to work with our solution, and if you decide quick, we're going to be very, very happy about that. We're going to be so happy for a 50% discount on the setup fees, and we will waive the licensing fees. And we also understand that sometimes you need a little bit more time to think about things. So because we understand that, if you decide to work with us until April 30th next year, we'll also have some discounts for you in store. I think, looking at our slides, that's all.
That's the last one.
And thank you. That is the last one. So that's me, as you can tell, I think. And here's also my contact details. Take a screenshot or meet me at the booth later. I'll be available in the digital booth, which is an exciting place to be at. Thanks so much from my end.
So thank you very much, Verena. It was very nice having you here. I got really good news. On one side, of course, for the integration of translations common.
Oh, I thought you got your beer. I knew it. I knew it.
So give me a second.
Prost.
Cheers, guys.
Now I'm super sad that I don't
Cheers,
have a
Verena.
beer yet. Cheers.
So thanks a lot. Now I guess you want to see something. And before you see the demo, I want to explain the translation management is done in Pimcore. So basically, you got two different options of translating your data. First one, which is very handy, Pimcore detects changes in your items automatically. This means if you do some changes in your data objects, in your documents, in your assets, Pimcore recognizes these changes and makes in a background job translation items. Yeah, it summarizes these translation items into jobs. And I explain what a job is a little bit afterward. And now the process can be started. The second way we have is that you can manually select which data has to be translated or should be translated. The system creates automatically a job. The job is then submitted to translations.com, where all the data is translated. And after the translation, the data is updated automatically in Pimcore. So you have two ways, but the main setup of the translation process is a full automation of the whole translation topics. So okay, let's have a look at a short demo. And as Verena said, it's really short because the process is so simple. I guess you can see my Pimcore screen where I log in. So this is the new Pimcore demo, which is going to be released after the conference. And it's very exciting that it's going today a little bit slower than normally, but this is always in demonstrations. So we did the demo case via the data objects, and I'm going to show you the two processes on our events, on our news data. The first of all, I'm going to show you the automatic process. This means I'm just opening a news object. And the only thing you have to do is make a change in one attribute of your data. So we can here make a second change, for example. And in the moment I save the object or save the document or save the asset, the translation item is created and the translation job is done. Yeah, this means if I do more changes on more objects and more of my data, the system creates a job and summarizes all these translation items. How it exactly works in the process, I'm going to show you afterwards. The second option we have is that we manually create a translation job. So I select right now a few data objects in this case, click the right button, and here I got the button request translation. I click it, and then I got the dialog with request translation. I see that I have the provider translations.com. I can enter a due date until when the job has to be translated. I can enter a name for the job. I select my source language. I can include the children, and I can include direct children, so the first level of inheritance. I can select my target languages, even more than one, and this is all I have to do. And this is the job. This is the process to create a translation job, for example. And right now I'm going to show you what happens when such a translation job is created. Firstly, it's in the status open. Then it is submitted. It is transmitted to GlobalLink. Then it got the status received. After the translation process, the data has the status process and is updated automatically then in the Pimcore system. So you got in real time all the live data. Okay. So you see the process is very simple. And to give you an overview about all the translation jobs, we've made an interface which is found here. So here we got a different view, and here we got an overview of all the translation jobs which are in the system, and you see there is a lot of data running around. Of course, you can open the overview in a new tab. You have different filter options to filter all your jobs just as you want, and you got the table with the overview of all your translation jobs. And I'm going to shortly explain to you right now what the table means. So we got the job ID, which is created automatically by the system. We have the state, we have the source language, and we have the target languages, which should be the result of the translation. Then we have a list of items. This means how many data or which data items are in my translation job. When I click it, I got an overview with the object IDs in this case, with source language, target languages, and the state. Then I got the processed items. So there can be the case that some items are transmitted a little bit later on, so that you have an overview about that. We have the creation date, when the job was created by the system or manually. We have the modification date, so when was the latest update. We have the data overview. This is a very nice feature where you can see, just give me a sec, I take this one, where you can see which items and which objects and which attributes have to be translated. This means here you can see the object ID, here you can see the attribute, all the data with the matching text, and here you can see that the texts are already translated. So this is our sandbox from translations.com. It tells us which changing the characters that the translation job is done. So you have a perfect overview of your data, which is has to be translated and is translated then afterwards. Of course, you can view the source data and the target data, which is transmitted. So all the developers of you can read that now, which is very beautiful. And of course, we can see the translated results in two different forms, format, and of course in XML format. Oh, I'm sorry. Then we have the due date. We have the name of the job. The name of the job is in the manual process a manual job name. If you use the auto detection for the changes, the system creates a job ID and a job name itself. And finally, we have the action, and this is the cool thing about that. Normally, the whole process is for 100% full automatic. This means all the jobs are created automatically, submitted, received, translated, and the system is updated. And here you got the possibility to start the process manually. So I can send now the data to GlobalLink. And yeah, as you can see here, in this case, when the data is received by GlobalLink, we get a remote ID, and this remote ID shows that the data is processed. And of course, we can receive the data manually so that all the objects are updated. Yeah. Of course, this feature is implemented in the way that you can customize it and extend it just as you want. So it's very neat and handy. You have the full power and the full potential of this TMS integration is, of course, if you combine it with the workflow engine of Pimcore. So if you receive the data automatically, you have the chance to change the workflow state of the documents, of the objects. So it's a very neat and handy integration of the TMS from translations.com. Okay, so much to the demo. I hope that Christian Fasching is joining us soon for all the technical questions, because he developed that part with our guys from Pimcore. As I said before, yes, the integration of the enterprise translation management is part of the enterprise subscription. And just give us a call, send us an email, you get an offer. We sign an enterprise subscription agreement, you get a license key and have access to all the bundles and packages from the whole features, from the whole enterprise features of the enterprise subscription. Yeah, and they can download it and develop it just like you want to have it. Okay, to remember that, we have the contact data for Verena on here again, and of course for me. So if you need support, if you need further more information, then write us an email and give us a call. And now I guess we have a little bit of time for technical questions. So I'm hoping that Christian is coming to support you concerning all the technical stuff. And Verena and me, we can help you for other questions.
I just see I have somebody that likes that everything is being reported on, but I think there's some, GitHub links being sent around, Stefan. That's our forte, huh?
Yes. Okay, Christian, welcome here on board. But I guess we don't have that much questions.
Yes, it seems so. They are discussing about some weird stuff. But not about translations.
Arnaud has a question. I think he would like to understand if the translation module is part of EE for free, if there is no additional charges. I guess that's a question for Pimcore.
Yes, of course. Also, the TMS integration, the enterprise translation management, comes with an enterprise subscription. We deliver the endpoint and the integration of the TMS on our side, which comes with the bundle. And of course, you got 4 translations and the license fees for GlobalLink, some fees.
I'll take over that one. So the connection is already there from Pimcore. So on our end, we obviously need to set up all the processes. We need to onboard everybody that is using the technology. So for this, we have a one-time setup fee. And then once everything is up and running, there is a monthly licensing fee. I think it's worth noting that that licensing fee remains the same. So it's not tied to any users or accounts or the number of languages that you send or the volume. So it always stays the same. It's a very scalable solution. I hope that answers the question. Obviously, it varies a little bit about the setup, but I think it's pretty straightforward most of the time. Hook me up on that. We have a question from Casting saying, when the translations come back, will it be directly published? So that is something that would happen on Pimcore side. I believe that there are several rules. So we would deliver it back to, I guess, a staging or a testing environment. So you could have a look there. And once it's back on Pimcore side, I think you as a Pimcore user have the full control about when you would like to publish and push your content live. Is that correct, Stefan?
Yes.
Yes. So actually, it really,
Christian,
really depends on the setup, how you do this. So we can publish it right away if you like. So you can also integrate it into a general workflow. This is actually the most common use case we have already in the implementations, that the translation step is one step in a more global workflow of preparing product data to be published then to the public. So most of the time this will be integrated into a bigger workflow, and then after the translation came back, you still have the possibility to check it and say, okay, it's fine with me, or it's not fine with me. But this is also one of the reasons why we partnering with translations.com, because they really promise a very quality translation, and so ideally there is no much interacting necessary in terms of translation is not good and we want to translate it a bit different or something like that.
I mean, on top of that, I also think that the sending and retrieving process can be fully optimized. So yes. Sometimes we can also set the scheduler to please export everything that has been changed or added new. Please send that automatically every day at 10 a.m. and 4 a.m. Or, you know, this is also really depending on your content management cycle. And we can obviously align the processes on our end as per your needs and requirements on that.
Exactly.
Okay, Christian, we got 2 more questions. What is the format used here for translation and links to memories and terminology databases?
So for the translation memory databases, that's a TXLF usually. However, we do understand that not everybody has their so what is it for everybody? A translation memory is basically a tool that stores everything that we've translated for you in the past, or maybe a previous vendor of yours, so that we can recycle and reuse content that already exists, which is great for speed, so we're quicker. B, it's great for consistency, so we don't translate the same source sentence in 2 different ways. And thirdly, and probably most importantly, it's also cheaper to reuse content versus to translate it from scratch every time. And that content that we basically save, that we've been translating for you before, we would store that in a tool called translation memory. And now Olivier is asking in which format the data in the translation memory is stored. So that would be TXLF. However, if you do have this content in whatever other format, we can obviously prepare the data in such a way so that we can import it to your translation memory. So for example, if you do have some translation already in Pimcore, and you said, hey, we would like to work with you, Verena, and your team, not a problem. We could also take a look at a content export of all the translations that you have in your system and prepare it in a way so that we can import it to the translation memory, making sure that none of the existing translations are lost once you switch to us. And yes, content that must not be translated can be locked. That's also very good questions. Yes, we can make sure that maybe certain titles or different content fields never get translated. That's very important, for example, for, let's say, product details or product names or maybe brand names. For example, if we take, I don't know, Nike, just do it. We shouldn't be translating that ever. So that's not so much a technological question. I think that's more of a translation management question. So as I mentioned before, along with the translation memory, we also have what we call a glossary. It's a database that has fixed terminology stored, meaning that whenever we have just do it from Nike in the source, that then it automatically tells our German translators, it's nicht mach's einfach. So it just stays just do it. So yes, that can be locked for sure.
Okay, so now I see our time is running out. It's 4 p.m. exactly. Verena, thank you very much for your time. It was an absolute pleasure and so much fun.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christian, for your support. And yeah, see you soon. And if you have some questions, please feel free to ask in the chat. And of course, you can contact us anytime. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.